In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the brush arm on a DeWalt grinder. The brush arm is a hinged piece that holds the brush in place against the armature. It also has a location for the brush spring to sit, which applies pressure against the armature. Typically, the brush arm would fail if the grinder was overloaded, and you'd see some melting. Brush arms are easy to replace, and we're going to show you how. Brush arms, along with many other parts, can be found on our website. Let's get started. We'll begin by removing the side cover at the rear of the grinder. It's secured with 5 screws. Now we'll remove the paddle and the lock button and separate the other half of the rear housing from the rest of the grinder. Now I'll remove the brush wire. I'll use a pair of needle nose pliers to pull it away. Now I'm just going to pull the brush spring up and out of our way so we can get to the other components. Now I can pull the brush arm back and remove the brush. Now I'll remove the screw that secures the brush arm to the grinder. The brush arm cap, the first felt seal, the brush arm, and last, the second felt seal. Now we can go ahead and reassemble our brush arm assembly. I'll start with the new brush arm, install the felt seal, and the cap. And now this assembly goes back onto the grinder. I'll slide the brush arm back onto the post on the grinder and secure it with the screw. Now we can reinstall the brush. I'll insert the brush lead through the opening on the brush arm. Place the brush into the brush arm, and then fold the brush arm back against the armature, and reinstall the brush wire. Now I'll pull the brush spring back down so it's sitting on the brush arm. Now I can install the rear housing back to the rest of the grinder. I need to make sure that I have all the wires tucked out of the way so they don't get pinched. This lower wire runs behind the stud. It then goes down in the opening for the paddle switch. Now I can reinstall the lock button. You'll notice that there's a tab on one side of the lock button, and that should go towards the armature, followed by the paddle. And now we can finish up by reinstalling the other half of the rear housing. As I do this, I want to make sure that the posts on the switch and on the lock button all line up properly with the housing. Once I get it in place, I'll just test everything real quick to make sure it's right. And that looks good. So now I can re-secure the screws.